Okay, so we're diving into this whole debate around police in schools, right? And the school-to-prison pipeline idea, especially how it affects black students. It's been in the news a lot, especially after Uvalde. We've got your stack of articles here, so let's get into it.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff. It's like this knot, right? School safety, racial justice, and then the whole role of police in society.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you see those calls for more police in schools everywhere. Politicians like Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, they jump in after something like Uvalde or Parkland happens, saying schools are soft targets, need to be like courthouses, banks.
And you get it, right? After a tragedy like that, everybody wants to feel safer, wants something done. But that's where you gotta ask, does more police actually get at what causes this stuff, or does it just create different problems?
And that's what I find so interesting and honestly kind of messed up. This big 2021 study you've got there, it found that more police didn't make schools any safer from shootings.
Yeah, and that's huge, but it gets lost in all the emotion. This wasn't some small thing, it was a massive study. And what they saw was, sure, maybe less fights with police around, but school shootings didn't stop them.
And it's not just that they're not effective, it's that they actually seem to make things worse for some students. More police meant more suspensions, expulsions, arrests. And who do you think is getting hit with that the most?
Black and brown students, hands down. And that's the heart of the school-to-prison pipeline. It's not just, is this school safe? On paper, it's safe for who, at what cost? If we're just punishing kids, especially certain kids, sending them into the system, is anyone really safer? Is it even about learning anymore?
And it's not even always for serious stuff. The study broke it down: disruptive behavior, disrespect, even dress code violations.
Ah.
Stuff that, come on, a conversation could fix, a call home. But it's treated like a crime.
And that's where these zero tolerance things backfire. Sounds good, right? No breaking rules, but you end up with crazy punishments for little things. And who gets caught in that? Mostly black and brown students.
So it's like a black student talks back, suspension. White student, same thing, maybe a warning. Over and over, it builds up.
Exactly. It's a pattern. It's not just one incident. It's the whole system.
Like those stories in the article, right? The 6-year-old black girl arrested for a tantrum, or 10-year-old has ADHD, gets put in a chokehold. You read that, and it's like, what are we even doing?
It's awful, and it shows how black and brown kids are seen differently. Like they're scarier, more deserving of punishment just for being kids.
And that's when school-to-prison pipeline stops being just words. It's those kids, real lives, being affected.
And the impact is huge, not just for them, but their families, their communities. They fall behind in school, the trauma. And yeah, they're more likely to end up in trouble again later. And you can't ignore the numbers. Black students, 30% of school arrests, but they're only 15% of all students.
That's a huge difference, and it's not by accident.
Mm.
So if more police isn't the answer, what is? You highlighted some other solutions. This Shavonna Sisson, her work in Milwaukee, seems like a big deal.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about Sisson is she didn't just want police out of schools. She knew you can't just remove something without a better option.
So instead of cops in schools, they try something totally different.
Yeah, Sisson and this whole group, other activists, teachers, parents in Milwaukee, they were like, we need a community approach, right? They actually got police officers removed from Milwaukee public schools. And that money went to mental health stuff, counselors, even this thing, restorative justice.
Restorative justice. Okay, I feel like I've heard that, but give me a reminder.
Totally. So it's not like the usual punishment thing. It's about you did something wrong. How do we fix the harm? How do we rebuild? Say a kid acts out in class. Old way, detention, right. Restorative justice, you bring everyone together. The kid, the teacher, maybe other students too. They talk it out with a facilitator. How'd it make you feel? What needs to happen now?
So figuring out the why, not just punishing and forgetting.
Exactly. And there's research. This stuff works. Schools try it, better environment, fewer suspensions. And the kids, they learn how to handle conflict, emotions, all that.
It's like a lot of effort, though. Was it hard to get going? The article mentioned that.
For sure. Biggest thing. People were so used to the old way, thought it was soft on kids. But Milwaukee, they went all in, training for teachers, how to do this restorative stuff, making the whole school feel like everyone matters, everyone's heard.
So not just a rule book, it's a whole different way of thinking.
Exactly. And that's what's tricky, because we can't just fix things inside schools, right? This pipeline, it's tied to everything else. Poverty, racism, kids not getting mental health help.
That's like we're only trying to fix half the problem if we ignore all that.
That's it. And it feels overwhelming, right? But Milwaukee did it, other places too, so change is possible.
Okay, so we see the problems, some solutions. But for someone listening, what can they actually do with this?
That's the big question, right? And I think it starts with knowing, like, how do these systems even work? What are our own biases, even if we don't realize them? Once you see it, you can start to change it in your own life, your own community.
So look at your kid's school. Do they have police? What are the rules like?
Exactly. Ask questions, talk to the school board, go to meetings, join groups working on this stuff. Your voice matters, even if it doesn't feel like it.
It's easy to feel small, right? These problems are so big. But it has to start somewhere.
100%. Every conversation, every little thing you do, it adds up. We can make things better for these kids.
It's like that whole think global, act local
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yeah.
These big problems can make you feel powerless, but we all got to start somewhere.
Totally. Even just talking about this stuff with your friends, your family, that's how things change. Planting those seeds.
This whole deep dive has really made me think differently, I got to say. I went from school safety, okay, sounds simple enough, to realizing it's anything but.
It's messy, right? But that's why we got to look closer, because sometimes those simple answers, like more police, they make things worse, not better.
Reminds me of that quote, if you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail. We can't just keep doing the same thing when it doesn't work, especially when it hurts people.
Exactly. Time to put the hammer down, try something new, like all this restorative justice stuff, trauma-informed care, making sure what we're teaching actually reaches these kids. It's harder, yeah, takes more time, more money, but it might actually make schools safe and supportive for everybody.
So we got to stop just reacting after something bad happens and actually prevent it in the first place.
100%. We got to build communities where kids are doing well before they end up in crisis.
Well, this deep dive gave me a lot to chew on, that's for sure. What about you listening? What's the one thing you hope sticks with them?
Don't stay silent. Your voice matters more than you think. Stay in the loop about this stuff. Talk to people. Fight for what's right. Whether it's those groups fighting the pipeline, telling your politicians what you think, or just talking to your kids about it. Every little bit counts.
That's it, right there. This deep dive might be wrapping up, but we're not done talking about this. So, to everyone listening, what are you going to do? How are you going to make things better? Because that's how it happens, one voice at a time.